So as I mentioned in yesterday's video, I have gone through the 4 quarters of the World Championship draw, and now I'm going to predict from the last 32 all the way to the last 16 and what I think is going to happen and who I think is going to win the 2024 PDC World Darts Championship. Let's get into it. So the first section, the first quarter of the last 32 starts with the reigning champion of the world, Michael Smith, against Madars Razma. I just think Michael Smith is going to have, enough to beat Razma. The couple of, or the first game, I think he's definitely going to win against Stowe Bunce, and I think that he is going to also beat Madars Razma. I'm not saying he's going to go on to win the entire event, Michael Smith, but I definitely think he will get past Madars Razma. The next game then is Ross Smith against Chris Dobey. We've not seen much of Smudger Ross Smith throughout the year. Obviously won the European Championships last year. He's not had a particularly loud impact on the PDC this year. A couple of good runs, of course. 16th in the world is not bad at all, getting into that top 16. But I do think Chris Dobey is going to edge it in this one. I think Dobes is going to beat Ross Smith and set up that last 16 with Michael Smith. Next game then, Rob Cross, Richie Edhouse. Again, I've talked multiple times about Rob Cross in the last few months about how I think he's rejuvenated. He's a better player than what he was in the last couple of years. And I do think that Rob Cross gets over the line against Richie Edhouse. I do think it will be a quite straightforward win for Rob Cross. And I think he gets into that last 16. The next game then, Johnny Clayton, Krzysztof Ratajski. Again, I've gone Johnny Clayton, as you can see there. I think that Johnny's consistency and Johnny's, experience against these type of opponents, like your Krzysztof Ratajski, like your Dobey, like your Ross Smith, people like that, he does have a good record against, and I think Johnny Clayton books his last 16 spot. More last 32 ties then, Peter Wright against Raymond van Barneveld. I think this is where we see Raymond van Barneveld exit the World Darts Championship. I think Peter Wright is going to go on a real decent run in this tournament, and I do think that Peter Wright wins this one. And the next one, James Wade, Luke Littler. I was umming and ahhing over this. Luke Littler is, he's 16. He's probably one of the most brightest projects to come out of darts in the last 5-10 years. He's brilliant. He is absolutely insane. But I do think that James Wade is just going to have enough. I said he would, get past the first round, but this is, a lot difficult now. It was Andrew Gilding in his first or in his second round game. I think James Wade beats him in this one. Gerwyn Price, Brendan Dolan. Again, I think this is straightforward. I think Gezi Price comfortably gets over the line and beats Brendan Dolan. I just don't see that resurgence from Brendan Dolan that we've seen over the years against the big players. And then the last game, Boris Kirchmeier, Gary Anderson. I'd like to say Kirchmeier for the upset, but I have gone the Flying Scotsman. An unbelievable year for Gary, one of the best he's had in recent form, one of the best players in the world at the moment, and that last 16 tie against Gerwyn Price will be electric. The third section of the draw then, Michael van Gerwen against Kim Huybrechts. I do think Michael van Gerwen is going to have enough. We've seen recently at the moment, Michael van Gerwen has been losing finals, which is unheard of in the last 2-3 years of Michael van Gerwen. When he gets to a final, he normally wins it, and he's normally winning at a canter, but he is stumbling a little bit at the final hurdle, mostly because it's Luke Humphries that he's losing, or that he lost the Players' Championship finals to, and Luke Humphries is a different animal right now. I think he beats Kim Huybrechts. The next game, Florian Hempel against Stephen Bunting. I put Hempel to knock out Dimitri van den Berg in round 2, but I just think that beating Stephen Bunting is a step too far for Florian. Stephen Bunting has been playing the best darts of his career since he won the BDO World Darts Championship, so I'm going to go Bunting to beat Hempel. Danny Noppert, Fallon Sherrock. Sorry, Fallon Sherrock fans, but I've gone Danny Noppert to get over the line in this one. I just think Danny is going to have enough, even if the crowd is fully against him and booing him for the entirety of the match. I think Danny Noppert is a strong player to ignore the booing and just get on with his darts. And Damon Heta, Josh Rock. I really didn't know which way to go. I've gone Josh Rock because Damon Heta has a tendency to just go missing at major tournaments and on TV. So I've gone Josh Rock through in. And the final last 32 ties, Luke Humphries against Callum Rydz. I can't really say much other than a straightforward Luke Humphries win. I know Callum is a good player and Callum will beat a lot of opponents in round 2, but to get over the line against Luke Humphries, you've got to have your A game absolutely firing. I just think Luke Humphries is going to be way too much for him. And the same in this one as well, Joe Cullen, Ryan Searle. I mentioned that we've not seen much of Joe Cullen throughout the year, but I do think that he's just going to have enough for Ryan Searle. That high scoring, the high checkouts is what's going to get Cullen over the line. Nathan Aspinall, Daryl Gurney. This one is a tough game to predict. I see Gurney giving a fight, but again, the same as Callan Rydz, I think Nathan Aspinall's in good form at the moment. I think Nathan Aspinall wins that. And then the last game of the last 32 is Dave Chisnell against Jan van Veen. And I've gone the Dutchman to get through. Jan van Veen, I've got to beat Dave Chisnell. I think that he's just got that sort of that fearless attitude at the moment, Jan van Veen. He's going into every game believing he can win, and that's what will get you a lot of wins in this sport. Let's have a look at the last 16 and my route to the final. So then the tasty part of the World Championships is the last 16. Michael Smith against Chris Dobey. Again, as you can see, I've gone Michael Smith to get over the line again. I just think there's going to take a big performance from somebody to beat Michael Smith, and I just don't see it being from Chris Dobey, unfortunately. But a good last 16 run for Chris Dobey, that'll be something that, he will, accept against a player like Michael Smith. Next game, Rob Cross, Johnny Clayton. As much as this hurts me to not put Johnny Clayton into the quarterfinals, I just think that Rob Cross, as I mentioned, is going to go on a run here, and that gives you a little hint of what I'm going to do in this quarterfinal. But Rob Cross is playing sublime darts, great darts all over, and I think Rob Cross gets through. Next game, Peter Wright, James Wade. This, obviously was the European Championship final, which Peter Wright beat James Wade in, and I've gone for the same outcome. I've gone Peter Wright to get over the line against the machine. I just think that the long format suits Peter Wright. He's won 2 World Championships. He's got to a final in another, so he knows exactly what pushes you to the limit in these big games, and I think Peter Wright gets over the line. And then Gerwyn Price, Gary Anderson. This one may be a bit of bias going for Price. A lot of people will go Gary, a lot of people will go Gerwyn Price, but I've gone Gerwyn Price to get past Gary Anderson and set up a meaty quarterfinal against Peter Wright. The second section of the last 16 then is Michael van Gerwen against Stephen Bunting. I really didn't want to do this because I really would love Stephen Bunting to win the World Championships. A lot of people would, but I do think Michael van Gerwen is going to get over the line in this one against Bunting. The next game, Danny Noppert, Josh Rock, 2 extraordinarily good players. Josh Rock, up and coming. Danny Noppert has been there, done it. I do think it's going to be a step too far for Josh Rock. Just the format suits Danny Noppert, I think, and the longevity of the game will suit Noppy. I'm going to go Danny Noppert. Luke Humphries, Joe Cullen. Again, I love Joe, but Luke Humphries, he is incredible right now. I'm going to go Luke Humphries to beat Joe Cullen. And Nathan Aspinall, Jan van Veen. I think this is a step too far for the Dutchman, Jan van Veen. I think that Nathan Aspinall uses experience and gets over the line in this. Here we are then, the quarterfinals. I'm going to try and get through this quite quickly because I haven't got much time left on this video. So I'm going to go Michael Smith, Rob Cross. I think this is where Michael Smith's retainment of his World Darts Championship ends. I think Rob Cross beats him. I told you he's in a good place at the moment, Rob Cross. Second quarterfinal, Peter Wright, Gerwyn Price. I think Gerwyn Price gets over the line. He's been a lot more in form than Peter Wright over the last 12 months, and Peter Wright hasn't really attacked the major tournaments as much as what we thought would happen. Michael van Gerwen, Danny Noppert. I've gone Michael van Gerwen. I just don't see Danny Noppert again having that long A game to beat Michael van Gerwen over like 6, 7 sets, whatever it is at this point. Michael van Gerwen and Luke Humphries, Nathan Aspinall. I do think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be a very good game, but Luke Humphries over the line for me. The 2 semi-finals then, Rob Cross against Gerwyn Price. This is going to be a fantastic game should it happen. Rob Cross, form of his life. Gerwyn Price, always consistent. I've gone Gerwyn Price. And then the other semi-final, Michael van Gerwen, Luke Humphries. I know Humphries is in the form of his life, but I think this format, this long format, Van Gerwen has been there, done it. I think Van Gerwen gets into the final. And then we reach the World Darts Championship final. Gerwyn Price, Michael van Gerwen. Gerwyn Price has done this before. He's been there, done it. Michael van Gerwen has been there, done it as well. This would be an absolute barnstorming final. And I've been biased. I've gone Gerwyn Price to beat Michael van Gerwen. Let me know your thoughts on my last 32 predictions down to the final. I've gone Gerwyn Price to win it. Let me know your thoughts. Like, follow, subscribe, all that good thing. Let me know your thoughts on my predictions and how correct you think I may be come the end of the World Championships. Thanks for watching.